Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast, No More Secrets. As always, I'm your niece, Katie Albrecht.
And I'm your Aunt Mary Albrecht, and we are very grateful to have a guest on. She is a clinical social worker that's been in private practice in Libertyville for 10 years, Libertyville area for 10 years. This is Linda Sheehan. Linda, please say hello.
Hi.
And,
Hi.
and
Welcome
Hi.
aboard.
I feel very honored to have met Linda. She came in with a contractor who rents space from me to do a class on Sundays and to do a yoga class. And I happened to be around on Sundays and we got to talking. I found out that she's a clinical social worker, but she's also very interested in chronic pain and what that does to mental health, especially if it's long-term mental or long-term physical illnesses lead to mental illnesses. And I think you're looking to specialize in that more and more. So the topic that we're going to talk about today is called Chronic Pain, Your Body Trying to Protect You. And if you want to maybe explain what that means to you, or if you want to start about your personal experience with chronic pain, you say that you had it from Family Secrets, which we know all about, hence the title of our show.
Yeah. I'm just so intrigued with the title of your show, and I just love what you guys do. And I think it's so important because we're a lot more open than we used to be, but it's a long process, you know. It's a long process. So there's a connection for me with secrets in that my mom, before she was like 26, she had already had 3 major traumas. And one of them was when she was about 17, was very public and I think very embarrassing to her and kind of left her with I don't know, because, classic, she didn't talk about it a lot. But my sense is it left her with this lifelong sense of embarrassment and stigma, and it had to do with her like having to go away for a while. And then when she went to have her children, she had 2 babies back to back that at the last moment, like they went full term, they died. They slipped away like at the last moment.
Wow.
And so that left her. Yeah, I know. It was just so, it had to have a huge effect on her.
Before you were born, those 2?
It was after me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable sharing what the first trauma was?
It was that, yeah, no, I do. It was that she was dating, she ended up marrying a cop, my dad, years later. But when she was really only, probably 17, she was dating someone that was in their 30s. And then they broke up with her. And
was it kind of a grooming situation?
We'll never know because it was covered up.
Okay.
It was all covered up.
And I think it was different back then too, where it's not like today, that kind of age gap at that time with a teenager is more out in the open and
Absolutely,
and obviously frowned upon and stuff.
Yeah, like what was his interest? Like why?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it a fantasy for him or something? Like, there's a lot to it and stuff, but that has a lot of layers to it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big trauma. How long was she with him?
We don't know, but we know that she went away for a year afterwards.
Oh, wow.
And
had a meltdown or something?
Yeah, had a meltdown,
Yeah.
and her parents admitted her to, and we don't know a lot more than that.
Wow.
But imagine how public that was. Like, where's Anne?
Right.
Yeah.
Where is she? And I remember her cousin later on said she was different when she came back. Well, who wouldn't be?
After a year, oh my goodness.
Yeah, who wouldn't be? So then, on top of that, she loses these babies. And I think that really left her with this lifelong anxiety. And then also that her husband was a police officer that worked nights, that did not that did not help.
And
you know.
were you the only child then?
No, but luckily she went on to have 3 more children because she
Oh.
was so brave.
Oh my gosh.
She was so brave, and she, kept things together very much because she loved us so much, and everyone around her was really devoted and just kind of turned themselves inside out, like to help, help her kind of right her ship. But it was always there, and then, the whole empty nest when we weren't around anymore, and that role was no longer there for her. Then it became a much more chronic kind of disabling thing. And I remember, and back to secrets, and shame, going to this group in the neighborhood with other Irish Catholic ladies. We're in this group that also, we're struggling a bit. And I thought, oh, this is perfect. This is absolute. This is it. This is gonna. And and they were so lovely and warm to her. And they just said, oh, you just have to move the muscles. We'll pick you up when we're walking. It'll be fine. No, she could not identify with them. She was so lost in her sense of shame, I think, about it, and privacy.
Yeah.
Privacy.
She couldn't
Yeah.
just be
Yeah.
herself, be
Yeah.
happy.
And it was a different world.
Yeah.
It was a different, and then also there was a lot of over prescribing,
Okay.
I think, because it was
Like
the big-
medications?
medications.
No.
It was the beginning of all that,
Yeah.
in the 70s and 60s, actually, and 70s was
Sure.
in the beginning of psychiatric meds. And I think that particularly since she had nothing to say when she went to a psychiatrist, there was no, she just like would clam up.
Oh,
So
wow.
then they were more, and I think that's a really important thing, that you have to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
And if you don't, in the absence of that, people will just,
But if your trauma makes you clam up, then you're kind of in a catch-22 almost, where you have to be able to speak about and like advocate
Yeah.
for yourself, but you're too traumatized to talk about it.
right.
So
Right.
that
It's such a
causes
vicious cycle.
it's a
Yeah.
vicious
Yeah.
cycle.
Hard
Yeah.
how to open that up.
It really is a vicious. I think even today,
Yeah.
I was a school social worker for a long time, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, absolutely.
For what age group?
Kids until 6th grade.
Okay.
It was wonderful. So much fun.
You like middle schoolers, right? Is that middle school?
Yeah.
6th grade
Some-
is.
yeah.
Yeah. Middle schoolers are fun because I always say that they're like children, but they think that they aren't.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. Yeah.
But it adds for a fun dynamic. I think they end up being really
Yeah.
hilarious humans, honestly.
Yeah. They are. They are hilarious. I can tell you stories. They really are hilarious.
Yeah.
So, what is this part about? We notice but dismiss a different family member's illness.
Oh, okay. So, later on, she's gone now, but later on, someone close to me, it came out that they were causing a lot of harm to people around them. And I had noticed that there were red flags, but logically I felt like I had done whatever I could have done, that how would I know, but I guess there were parts of me that did not feel that way. And so I went into, like all of a sudden I had TMJ, a very kind of painful jaw issue where you're grinding.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, around the same time, I start getting like mild anaphylactic shock.
From what?
I still don't know. Like, I'm not allergic to
I
anything.
was gonna say, yeah, that's allergies, but
I had to go through, it just like so many doctor's appointments. It was just, anybody that's ever had something that you don't know what it is, it just like grabs your life. You got to go, you have to eliminate this, you got to eliminate that.
right.
And so it had to have been like, I said, well, this is anxiety, because I work with folks with anxiety. Clearly, this is a panic attack. Okay.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we kind of don't know what you're doing when this comes up, because I was always like relaxed when it would happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a panic attack. So I think in the end, it was just like, okay, it was just totally unclear what it was, but it stopped. And it had to be mild anaphylactic shock. because that's a really serious thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need like EpiPens for it and stuff.
Right, but I'm still here,
If
so
it's
it must
serious,
have been mild.
Sure,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah, and so, but I had always thought that about mental health, emotional health, like what is it? And that the cornerstones of it are gratefulness. If you're grateful, and if you're have some inner compassion for yourself.
Okay.
Give yourself a break.
So that's what it means to be mentally healthy.
That's there's
Okay.
That's we could do another podcast about the different. I love, actually, there's certain one, like integration. A lot of folks think integration of your mind,
Yeah.
that you don't have, everything isn't warring all the time.
Oh,
Different aspects of you.
Cooperating.
Yeah, inside,
Oh.
upside, like your downstairs brain and your.
Or like your left and your right or something? And-
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That's another definition, but mine is like that I just kind of came
Sure.
up with from life, that. So then I had this opportunity to walk my talk on that one and just be much more, slow the roll. And I got very focused on making sure I was getting restorative sleep and enough of it. And just, a lot more letting things go. And
This was from the guilt that came from the person close to you.
yeah, I
that
think it was.
Doing,
I
at
think
least was triggered from that.
Yeah, it was triggered. It was that I
Okay.
wouldn't let myself off the hook on that one. I
Ah.
should have known. The flags were there. Instead, we accommodated. We accommodated and stepped back and never challenged, because privacy.
Swept it under the rug.
Swept it under the
Sound
rug.
familiar?
And then the damage was done.
So you're saying that that's all that stuff, all that privacy and secrecy eventually led to your body having symptoms of different kinds, whether it was the TMJ or the allergies or
Yeah, a
it eventually-
tipping point.
okay.
I think it was a tipping point. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, Katie, when you say your body, it's like, well, what in your body? What in your body's doing that? Is my body betraying me? And you do get that sense sometimes, like, what's next? What's going to happen next? I'm like falling apart. What's going on with this? But your body's really protecting you from
Something worse?
well, it's trying to get your attention.
Oh,
It's
that's a good
trying
way
to
to look
get
at
your
it.
attention, because you've overestimated what you can handle, what you can metabolize, right? What you can digest.
Okay.
Okay.
So, for instance, if you were to have a cold,
Which
Well-
I meant to say, it's pretty obvious with my introduction and my red
she's
nose.
not just speaking in a sexy voice.
Right. Which I wish I was. But go on about the cold, yeah.
Yeah.
But like if you have a cold, it's more so of your body telling you need to rest most of the time, unless it's a severe cold or something
Yeah.
more serious. But
Yeah.
in Mary's case,
For me, it was saying you need to.
hey, slow down a
you
little
need to
bit.
cool it, man. You just
Yeah.
push and push and push and push
Yeah.
and push. And,
Yeah, because I think when you have a passion for something too, it sort of overrides the cues. Like you're getting cues, but you override them. And strong beliefs too, about how things should be. We kind of
But
believe me,
instead
I
of
know. Yeah.
thinking of it as betraying me, I do feel this was because my body is saying stop already.
Yeah.
Monday through Sunday, 9 in the
Yeah.
morning till 10 at night.
Wow.
It just
Yeah.
you need some downtime. It's like, and I've been realizing that recently that okay, it's been a year since Terry died. It's time for me to try to balance things out rather than just running to cope. That's my coping skill, is to keep busy. But your body can only take so much. So
This is a really kind of important fertile time for you. Like, I don't know if fertile's the right word, but
well,
like,
in my case, it is. Since the other kind of fertile isn't possible.
yeah, it's like, like once you find, wow.
No more secrets.
Once you take that in and say, I need to be more attentive to me, and knit that then everything is possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm filled
Yeah.
with hope. You know,
Yeah.
I've gotten through the year of grief, and now all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, this is my time, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah. Getting
Um,
back to what were we talking about?
we were talking about, I mean, just how the whole intro into chronic pain and stuff. Do you want to go into a little bit like what you've so you got into this journey from all your stress and you had the TMJ and all that stuff. What kind of stuff have you learned about chronic pain since you've started to look into it?
I have learned like so much that I noticed over the years, like have come together now that I've been able, that I had to dig down and see, well, like, what could this be? So it's like a kind of a detective thing. And the first thing that was there was the central nervous system, which includes your brain. Like, I didn't even know that. I thought, well, yeah, it's running all through your body, but it's your brain and your,
Yeah, controls all of it, right?
yeah, it controls the whole thing. And half of it is your sympathetic system, which is the mobilization, the let's go. You know, and lately I've been thinking a lot about my diaphragm, you know, that big muscle that with every, like, this is not just theoretical, with every breath. On the in breath and the inhale, you're in sympathetic. And on the exhale, you're in parasympathetic. So you're in the rest and digest. Everything settles, you know, which is really powerful when you think about it, because if you wanna, you could use that, you can hack that.
I was thinking of when you run, you're told when you get tired to let out bigger exhales and do shorter inhales, and then usually you do the inhales through your nose, out through your mouth because you can get more out and stuff. Is that kind of correlated to it? Like, it's, I mean, you're trying to rest your body because your body's in like hyperdrive because it's having trouble breathing or whatever. That's, I mean, I feel like that's kind of connected in a way.
I think it is connected. Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm just not a good runner in general,
think-
but
Yeah.
I try to do all the tricks and stuff, and it, you know,
Athletes are really into breath.
yeah,
You know, they're really, it's a big part of so much.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking of like swimming too, like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we were talking about how we're both swimmers. I mean, breathing is so important. How little, how much you do it when you swim. You go faster when you don't breathe a lot, but you probably swim. I don't know. You probably
Yeah.
are healthier to breathe more while you do it.
And just the fact you got these two big balloons inside you called lungs,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, that will hold you up if you just do the minimum. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you definitely do the minimum with swimming, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing backstroke. But
So the problem, though, Katie, is when we stay in the sympathetic system more than is healthy for us. And we can do it for a while, but that's when, like, wheels start coming off.
Because
Or you
Sure.
get colds or more or worse, you know, and or pain or chronic pain
because
because
you're not exhaling. I mean, I'm saying it.
in through your nose,
well, yeah.
out
Oh,
through your mouth.
yeah. You're
I'm
not
just saying
you're-
it more as a.
No, you're right. Absolutely.
metaphor?
There's
As a
too
metaphor.
much. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. There's too much short. You're taking too many short, shallow breaths in your chest. And it's like that cycle that you talked about a few minutes ago. So why am I kind of over breathing and taking too many short breaths? Well, because I'm starting to rev up. I'm in sympathetic dominance.
Okay.
And
interesting,
and
yeah.
this is taught, you know, how I said a few minutes ago, it reminded me of stuff that all my life I'd heard, and now I kind of had a place to put it, which is Dr. Andrew Weil, like the very famous guy now.
Yep.
Now he is. And he said that in Japan there's a diagnosis when you go to a doctor, there's sympathetic dominance. So to me that says it all.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the umbrella that pain is under, that everything. So you're too much in that overdrive, that side of the system that's not intended. Like if you think about animals, like how often are your animals like really go, 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 do, do, do? They are to get what they need, to get their needs met, and they pretty quickly settle back. Because they can't think about the future. Like all they know is they got what they need right now. They're not thinking about is,
Yeah.
tomorrow is Mary going to bring me my fave. So, but we have, we're burdened with and blessed with like all this conscious, prefrontal cortex. We can imagine the future and the past and
That burden and a
Blessing.
curse.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say blessing and a curse too.
Or
Yeah.
burden and a blessing. Yeah.
a blessing.
A
and
burden
curse.
and a curse. It's both.
It just sucks.
It's just there's no good to it.
no good.
That's funny.
But so that's to say, when you say our brain is plastic,
Yeah.
so the paths that frequently get used get wired into our brains. We default to those pathways, which is great
Right.
if they're healthy pathways and enjoyable places to hang out.
Right. Yeah.
But if not,
it sucks.
we go there because it feels
Yeah.
familiar.
Yeah. Well,
Or
so
why do we go if it's not a healthy path?
because it's familiar and
Okay.
we're not safe. We're scared. If I don't have the luxury to distract myself from it because I'm in danger. My brain thinks I'm in danger. And it doesn't matter if it's that I'm in danger from something fairly minor. You've got the whole threat system in overdrive now.
Because you're veering away from what's familiar, so you think you're in danger.
Your body, thank you. Your body is sending as many signals up as the brain is sending down. Like I always thought of like your brain was like, the CPU on your computer, and then you've got the peripheries that are doing kind of the minor stuff, but the brain is like the brain, right?
Yeah.
And it turns out it's biodirectional, and in fact, more is coming up than is your, which really gives you humility. There's like so many signals coming up from your body, signals of safety or signals of threat, and like you don't even. It's a lot of times it's very subliminal, like unconscious.
Yeah.
Like you don't even realize. Like when I walked in here today, did I feel safe? Did I, like if I had sort of smelled something smoky, like the fact that you guys are familiar with this place and said, oh, that's just, we know what that is. Well, my body would have just settled down because I'm around other people, I'm connecting, but we're constantly pinging. So you're not always, back to anaphylactic mysteries. You're not always in charge. Like your body's really pretty intelligent and very like primitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
It needs a lot of.
That's kind of amazing.
Isn't it amazing?
Mixed with our very intelligent brains. Well, most of us. Like I feel like that's really the combination. It kind of shows how, I don't know, powerful humans are.
We are, yeah.
And I feel like we don't always hit the potential of how powerful we can be. If we get in tune with our mind and our body at the same time, I feel like we could be unstoppable.
As long as we put it to good, because there are some unstoppables that don't.
Yeah. Depending on how you're rowing, the direction you're rowing in.
Right.
Well, a lot of knowledge has been lost over, thousands of years, or can't be sold, doesn't have stock, value on and it's, for instance, like back in the Romans they called it the second brain, that there's so many neurons. I don't know what they called them, but in our stomach.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of recent that we thought of it like the CPU way, that it was all up here. I think that's
Is
Western
that why when
thing.
people get nervous, they have butterflies
Yes.
in their stomach? That's where that came from?
Our kids in school would get sick, and they were, and I think that's so important to say, is that this doesn't mean it doesn't mean your pain is not real. Your pain is real. Mm-hmm. All pain is in the brain rather than the site in your body. And if you had any doubt of that, phantom limb pain, right?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your brain is connecting with something that isn't there.
It isn't there, but the brain is a map of the body. So when that limb is gone, those nerves are kind of going haywire.
And the neural pathways are still there.
And the neural pathways are still there until they work around. And, they used to say, before I mention that, one thing I learned is that is really common. Phantom limb pain is common, and it can be very painful. I thought it was like one of those freak things that occasionally, no.
Yeah, it's like ongoing.
Yeah, because the map has been messed with and I remember when people would recover from strokes, they would just say, most people wouldn't recover as much as they might like to, but some people would recover amazingly. And like when I was a kid, they'd just say, we just don't know. We just don't know why that part of her brain was, we'll say the language part, was totally damaged in a stroke or in this accident. And she's talking, maybe not the way she was before, but clearly from somewhere she's pulling this. And it was the plasticity that the brain over time and with a lot of work. And so maybe for the people that didn't happen, like they didn't know to keep trying, or you know what I mean? Because they didn't know it was possible.
To redirect.
Right. And you're not consciously doing it.
Right.
It's just those pathways. If you do something, just like that's habits. If you do something enough, those pathways will literally wire together over time.
Wow.
Which is...
So if you do it with the right path
Yeah.
for you,
Yeah.
then you'll get healthier.
Yeah, you can do amazing things.
Wow.
And I think athletes know that too. If they can, so much of it is their desire and they're practicing. So, but just like Mary said, it's like, what are we practicing? Back to pain. If we're practicing ruminate, getting stuck on the pain. Now, if it's acute pain, it's going to go away. It's like your harm alarm. It's there to let you know. And, we've all heard of people that couldn't feel pain, and that was like a very dangerous thing to not be able to feel pain. So acute pain resolves itself though, but what we're talking about, like I'm going to go into some antidotes that help us through pain, and that would apply to acute pain too, like when something's healing and it's just going to take time and it hurts, but chronic pain lingers, and often in the absence of it showing up on any tissue issue or bone, or like they can't find the origin as they investigate our bodies. They can't find
like your anaphylactic shock.
Yeah, where it's coming from, but it just keeps coming. And and a lot of people have neck and back pain that does not show up anywhere. And that pain is real. It's just as real as an acute pain that resolves.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what now? That's what you say.
What do you do?
Because ignoring the chronic pain will make it worse, you say.
Yeah, ignoring it makes it worse because you're still stuck in those loops of trying to suppress it, and it's exhausting because like our brain takes up so much of the glucose it takes to run our body, like a quarter of the glucose that's running your body is running your brain, when your brain's only like this little 2-pound thing. So then imagine if on top of that it has to run all this pain suppression, to pretend to mask
The brain?
to mask the pain and keep managing ways to keep functioning and pretending, and even to yourself, like, no big deal, I got this managed. Now, when I say that, I mean social connection, hanging out with people. I think that's like where everyone has to find their own mix and be truthful with themselves, because it is good to distract yourself with good stuff and with people around you. But then, you have to find your middle ground.
Yeah.
Am I just trying to
Avoid. Like you're saying, a trampoline effect as the habit gets more entrenched.
Yeah, it will get more entrenched because it takes time, for those pathways. And then once they're there, you're going to kind of need to come up with your own little plan. And one of the things I do with folks is cognitive behavioral work is one of the first lines of treatment, because, can I? Oh,
And
Yeah,
she gave
share
me,
with the class.
I'm gonna share with
she
my
gave me
class.
that book for Christmas, or right before you left.
Do you want to point it right at that camera right there?
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I brought this because having a like a coherent story about your life is really important. Instead of feeling, bitter or disappointed at how different things have occurred, and maybe finding
Sorry.
oh no, no.
No, I sneeze like every day. It's weird, but
Okay. Oh, maybe it's the sun.
the sun?
The sun. Yeah, some people sneeze in the sun.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I mean, it's in the winter too, but
Yeah, no, it could happen.
okay. Yeah.
So just forgiveness, and this is about and whatever your story is about your life, like up till now, like this is about a little kid that her story is that the grown-ups don't understand her. So then she goes on a brave journey, and she finds her way through that to the point where she can speak up better and help the grown-ups
Oh,
understand what's going on with her.
yeah.
There may be people in your life that you really trust are in your corner, that, sitting down and talking with them and giving yourself that time and, space and grace to just kind of maybe look in and see, how you can slow the roll, what in your life is most important and what can be let go. What isn't really that important right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which you can defer.
And it changes.
It changes. It always changes. And along those lines, I love visuals. I brought these about, this is like self massage and calmness and just general TLC.
What is it?
They're like little
loofah gloves? Or?
loofah gloves. Loofah
Okay.
gloves. Yeah, loofah gloves.
But what it's like, I always think of that as exfoliating off the crust that you develop from being out there.
Yeah, nice.
You
nice.
know?
Yeah.
You're talking
Your
about
armor. Yeah.
I'm talking metaphorically again.
Sure.
Crusty people, remember?
Yeah. Your armor that you have developed to make your way in the world.
She's in the shower. She's wiping off the crust on her and stuff.
Metaphorically.
Yeah, metaphorically.
Maybe-
No, I get it.
Maybe a little physically.
Yeah, no,
a few
I
skin
totally-
cells come too, but
Sure.
Yeah.
you know crusty people. You like
Sure.
that term.
Yes. But not when it refers to skin. I don't know why. That just makes me gross out. Crusty skin, like, oh, maybe involuntary, like, gag a little bit, But
Between that and these bodily noises here, I'm kind of freaking you out today.
it's a great time over here, honestly. I saw, so back to what you wrote on here and stuff. You had like a whole thing on opioids, and I'm curious to see like what you think about them, and as far as, I mean, daily use or just for like a spot treatment, or like, what do you think about opioids in terms of chronic pain?
I think that we're, I would just say what I'm hoping what I know doctors are saying, which is that for short-term use, that we're fortunate to have them.
Sure.
But the problem is that for long-term use, and of course your doctor would know the difference between short and long, that I have no idea. They're the engine of pain, of chronic pain. They will create.
So they
more.
make more.
They make more because they shut down. They replace the pharmacy, the natural pharmacy that's in your body.
Okay.
So now that's not there for you because it's been replaced by something synthetic. So then it's not needed. So it kind of shuts down. So that's why you have to taper, because if you just go cold turkey, it's going to be very disturbing to your body, because you've now replaced a natural, because we have natural painkillers.
Well, I think that's why people get addicted to them so easily, because there is an issue with people getting addicted to
There's
opioids.
a huge thousands and hundreds of thousands of people have.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's getting worse, but it just seems, or if it seems like it's getting worse, but there's more and more people that are getting addicted to it, and I feel like it's
Did you
it's a
share
problem.
about your dad
Not yet,
in this
no.
case? Because may I share that now or no?
Sure, yeah.
So, and this is what I find interesting, and a little bit of a tangent, but worth it, I think, is that my brother, her dad, was in the hospital from binge drinking to the point where he passed out in the snow, not knowing that he didn't have his gloves on. Got terrible frostbite to the point where his hands were like black and swollen, and they had to put him in hyperbaric chambers. And they saved his hands, which I think kind of was a curse. Like at first, they were thinking they should amputate, but he was in so much pain from nerve damage and frostbite and itching and burning and stuff. I don't understand why somebody who's in pain because of a very severe addiction gets given opioids as a way to manage the pain. You know what I mean? And he got addicted to opioids. We thought
Big
that was
surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He traded
We
one
got-
addiction into another, honestly.
and we thought that was his bottom. We were like, thank God, finally,
Yeah,
maybe he's
finally.
gonna. And then opioids, you could hide that in your pocket, and he would
Yeah.
just pop. And they're way harder on your body, and that's why he died when he was 53.
Wow.
He
Yeah.
also went to, I mean, he was a narcissist or whatever you want to call
There
it.
was more. Yeah.
And gamed the system, and he went to several doctors to get multiple
Yeah,
prescriptions
yeah.
legally. And then when that stopped working because he got busted on it eventually, he, went to the street and got his fix that way.
But they gave an addict. To me, I think
Yeah.
that because the reason he was in the hospital, that should have been enough to put him in a mental hospital for 6 months or
The
something.
system is
It's
broken.
really messed up.
Yeah.
It's broken. I've heard of a lot of that with the VA, too, that like somebody would have worked for years to get off something, and then they give it, because it's cheap, it's
Yeah.
available, and therapy takes time, and you have to be cooperative and have patience,
Yeah.
and that's why I think pain education is such a big thing. Like even as we're talking about it, I'm thinking like anybody listening to this is going, why would I need to do pain education? But you do education about how to lose weight, how to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Like we're kind of in a big hurry, and it's a very intense. I want it now, kind of. I want to be better now.
There was
Yeah.
another time when he he was barricaded in my parents' home. That was, you were around, I think you were in college or something, and saying the terrorists were coming to get him. The terrorists were coming to get him. He was scaring my younger brother like crazy, and my mom and dad weren't there. And so my younger brother called the cops, and the paramedics came, and they could see he was blasted on opioids and just whatever. Took him to the hospital, admitted him, and like 3 hours later, once he was medically stable, they're like, we can't hold him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at that hospital at that point, and I said, he said that the terrorists were coming to get him. He's an international horse trainer. He was threatening to, like beat everybody up, and like he was in a rage and throwing things and whatever, to the point where his own brother got scared, which normally his brother, they were close, and called the police on his own. And then the paramedics thought he was definitely out of his mind on drugs. There was a big bag of drugs on the table, just bottles. And then like 5-6 hours, well, we have no right to hold him once he's physically, medically sound.
Right.
And I didn't understand that. And I guess that's what you're saying about the system. They just, they're done with it now. So gotta get that
Right.
bed for
It's
someone
all
else.
silos.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
I just think about all the different times where he could have gotten some help,
It's hard to help someone though when they don't want to help themselves.
Well,
It makes it
It's a
extra
lesson
hard.
we've always struggled with, honestly.
Yeah. Like
Especially with him.
yeah.
So, I mean, bringing it back to the pain stuff, what are some things that people can do? that's
Well,
not opioids.
there's so much really.
Yeah.
And, for example, there is I show people this site called Pain Tracker that is some really nice, absolutely free pain education. And
Do you want us to link it on the
yeah,
website? Okay.
absolutely. And then I teach something that before we started, it's I was mentioning it. It's called Empowered Relief, and it's just kind of a different format. Like Pain Tracker, you can do it at your own speed at home in these little half hour. Like there's 8 sessions of a half hour. But what I present in like different venues is more like a full hour in two different opportunities, and it's basically the same, explaining how you can train your brain gradually away from pain.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then showing like the whole array, mentioning the whole array of different things, be it yoga, be it, Tai Chi or, acupuncture. Maybe for you it's walking. Maybe it's, you are the best, advocate for yourself. And hopefully you do advocate to avoid like unnecessary surgeries, like and procedures. If you totally medicalize your pain, like it could lead to you getting different procedures that maybe aren't going, like we know how many back surgeries are unhelpful.
Right.
Now, on the other hand, you don't want to be like going to yoga when there's something structurally wrong. Well, do go to yoga, but if
But
there's
not only that.
not
Yeah.
only that. Thank
Yeah.
you. Not in lieu of making sure that you have done everything that you can structurally.
You gotta like kind of trust your judgment. I think of my finger because I had a cut. Did you know about this? That I
She
had like
almost
a
lost her finger. It wasn't just a cut.
yeah. I had a yes, a very serious cut. I had 7 stitches. Had a scramble with an electric hedge trimmer.
Oh no!
Great
And the hedge
times.
trimmer won.
Well, I think I came out
Yeah.
okay, but
Finger
my-
wasn't in the neighbor's yard.
yeah, that's true. That's a silver lining, honestly.
Wow, that had to be. Talk about shock. Whoa!
It was very shocking, and it's crazy because in the moment it didn't hurt at all.
That's
which is
your
a blessing.
body's endorphins.
Oh, big time!
Yeah,
My body
yeah.
protected the hell out of me
Yeah.
for that, and I'm very
Like,
happy.
you're like, really?
I felt nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
But as it's healing, I do feel more.
Because they're reconnecting.
I don't know if
The
I did.
nerves don't you think, are reconnecting?
I think they've connected as much as they can. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
I'll have full feeling back. Fortunately, I have full movement and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
But I was to bring this back to what you were talking about with the deciding to get surgery and stuff. When I first was going into the specialist for it, she kind of gave me the option of like, we could do surgery on this, try to reconnect the nerve and maybe cut down on some of the scar tissue. But the way she phrased it was like, but it's not guaranteed for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, so I'm just gonna cut my already cut finger open again for a not guarantee that I'm like, you're gonna be able to reconnect the nerve, so nothing might be different. And it was a decision that I had to like really think about, because I was like, this is kind of my first time doing a big scary thing on my own, like health wise. And I eventually decided not to go through with the surgery because I was like, I don't know if that would have really made it a difference.
Right.
You know?
And
She
you have
even
the
was saying
movement.
that.
So
The movement is the most
Okay.
important thing, obviously.
So the gain that you possibly maybe would have been
is
more
the sensation.
Sensation.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Yeah.
I might not like the sensation I have from it.
Sure. Well, that's a good point too.
Yeah.
It might be like firing more if it
Yeah.
was reconnected or something.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I
Right.
chose not to do it, and now
Yeah.
I am dealing with the fact that I might have a numb finger there. But it's better than having no finger or half of a finger or probably a lot of other stuff. So
And over time, over time, the map is adjusting possibly.
That's what I'm hoping
The
for.
neural map is not going to be fire. It won't even try it. Like it won't even.
Right.
I don't know.
True. I've heard that people they get used to it. They kind of forget that it's a thing. And
Yeah, because it's you. It's just you.
And
It's just
she can
my
also,
life at this
there's
point.
systematic exercises you can do to change the pathway of the perceived pain. In her case, from her brain to her finger.
Oh, I would think so. Yeah,
On
but
that-
a PT would give you that.
That's I've only done occupational therapy so far.
Yeah.
I think just to try to get the
But even just the
feeling down
brain,
and stuff.
like, is this that pain tracker thing? Does that have brain exercises on how to redirect the pain in your brain, or does it start with the body?
It starts with the body.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Got it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And just enough reminders of moving a certain way with your body that are positive. Yeah.
But if it's not hurting you, I'm not sure why you'd be doing the pain tracker thing with it. That's more for.
It depends on if you consider numbness as pain.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Is numbness pain to you?
Because it's not. I don't like sit here thinking, oh man, I'm in so much pain. Like, but I do get the every so often little zings of
Yeah.
of
Like what?
Yes.
Yeah.
I definitely get firing nerves every
Yeah.
so often, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't. It's definitely more on the acute side, like what you were saying. It's
That's
not.
a really good example, Katie. It's kind of like what you decide,
No, it's
like how
perfect.
big a deal you decide this is. Like this could be a really big deal,
Yes.
and it could be like that is a trauma. That is definitely a
Oh my
trauma by
God.
anybody's,
Yes.
to be standing there and having blood spurting and
Yeah.
and whoa, like
And
it-
then
yeah.
when she first was setting up the cameras after that, she jumped when that little fan went on, like, and pulled her hand back,
Yeah.
Oh no, because I
yeah.
hit my finger on it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
That fan doesn't hurt. It's plastic. It won't hurt anything.
And you hit a different finger on it.
No, it was the same finger.
Ooh.
So I might have a little bit of PTSD from it, of situations like that, but that's something I can work on.
And plus she was on jet lag from her honeymoon. She had just gotten home. And she went running into the kitchen. She's screaming for her husband, and he thought she was
She
singing.
loves to talk about this.
He thought she was singing.
He was upstairs building a cabinet.
Oh my god.
He said, "Katie's singing." Oh, Matt.
Oh wow.
I called for him upstairs. It took him a couple minutes to come down because he thought I was singing. So,
You do that a lot. You just break into song.
She does.
it's true.
Yeah.
It says a lot about my singing if that's what he thinks.
Or a lot about his hearing.
Yeah.
That too. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So, did we finish the opioid?
Yes.
I know you have other props there.
And
Oh,
I
the
got
sleeping
the sleep thing.
Yeah.
But Katie, thank you for bringing that up because I think
Well,
that's
it
why.
relates, to what you
Yeah.
were talking about.
And pain education
current.
is having such a moment, and it has been for a while,
Mm-hmm.
because of the opioids now are not finally over, belatedly, the opioids are not there's more restraint with them.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that things like that happened to your dad don't happen anymore. They still do happen.
Right.
And they shouldn't, but they do. Yeah.
Yeah. And his situation was kind of, I get the
A lot
whole.
going on there.
There is a lot going on. He was in pain. That is absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he was also an addict. So like, what's the right answer for it? Like you're willingly giving drugs to an addict, but you're also trying to help a guy's pain. So I could see where it's gray.
Mm-hmm.
It's not totally black and white.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish there was something else. I wish
Mm-hmm.
they could have tried something else before they went straight to drugs.
To highly addictive drugs too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or at least if they had to go to them to have incredible supervision, but then who would
Yes.
that be? You'd have
Right.
to have a
And like you say, it's all, what did you call them, silos?
silos.
So
yeah.
it took a while for the pharmacies
Oh.
to get onto him.
Sure.
Because they
sure.
don't have a system of integrating.
Or then they didn't. I would hope they would now. God.
different companies like CVS and Walgreens. Do they have an integrated system?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Oh boy.
The
Wow.
Walgreens all do,
Okay.
but not like
Okay.
Walmart. And,
Okay,
well,
I see.
maybe, but
Yeah.
yeah, back then, I mean, it was only 2009 when it started.
That's a lot has happened.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
let's hope that things are somewhat better.
But that would
Yeah.
help because then,
Yeah.
overall, it would be seen everything he's consuming versus
Yeah.
this doctor giving it and then that doctor giving it for a different reason. And there you have it. That's
Yeah.
the birth of an addict, of
Yeah.
a new addiction for an addict.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I was talking about
Oh.
restorative. Oh, I'm going to put this on. Then you know where to go. About really restorative sleep, because you know how oxygen, getting a lot of oxygen is really important, and if your mouth is open when you're sleeping, as you know, you're unconscious. So naturally, it's kind of hard to say, I'm definitely going to keep my mouth closed tonight. Now, I think you can train yourself somewhat, but then again, you're unconscious. So this is, I would suggest, if anyone has any doubt that maybe they're snoring, and maybe if you're, I'm sure your partner will be giving you feedback if you're snoring.
I agree with that. Yeah.
But yeah, they will. But sometimes they exaggerate, so you kind of don't know what to believe. There's all kinds of apps that you could put on your phone that will literally listen to you. Like when you wake up in the morning, you hit a button, and in different color codes, you will see when you were loud, and then you can hit that, like Sleep Score. There's several of them, and you'll actually hear it. Like I remember a few times mine peaked, and I said, it's got to be the train because I live right near the train. And sometimes it was the train, and sometimes it was me. I was
Okay.
like, oh my, So
sleeping with your mouth closed is the healthiest.
yes, because we were not, like, during the day, we're both, you're breathing through your mouth and through your nose, most people during the day. But even during the day, back to the sympathetic nervous system, you will be calmer if you make a point of closing your mouth and breathing through your nose, because you're going to avoid the shallow breaths. Yeah, it really makes a difference. And you can build into where it's kind of like a default that when you get a little tense, you automatically sort of like be aware that you're not hyper breathing. So at night, if you there's several of these online. Like this is called myotape. Here we go.
It's very attractive.
Is it? Okay.
Wait, talk with it.
Here we go. So, see how I'm not gonna. I am not. I just had to demonstrate. I had to demonstrate. Is it safe?
Got to finish the episode with it.
Yeah, I did. I will. It's safe, right? I'm not going to. There's no way, because there will people that will say, "Are you sure you're not going to die during the night?" No, it's open in the middle.
Yeah.
But it's just enough to give you a sense of like a little tap of let's keep.
But you also can't open your mouth very well without the sticky coming off, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to talk like this.
Because right, you're right. It can, yeah. But all night long, to be taking everything in through the air. Well, first of all, it's just not healthy because you don't have filters in your mouth the way you do in your nose.
Oh, right. That's what you had mentioned the other
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
Yeah, filters. And
We got those little hairs.
yeah, right. And you don't have that. And then also, you know how you're breathing in oxygen and then you're breathing out CO2, right? So where does that gas chain exchange happen? It happens in your nose. So if you're breathing through your mouth, then you're not as oxygenated as you could be. And of course, with older people, this matters even more. Well, it matters to everybody. Like, who knows what conditions folks have, pulmonary. You need your oxygen to get everywhere, and it's going to get places better if you let it come in the way it's supposed to come in.
And then
So-
go out too at night.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a healing process for good sleep, huh? Or a conduit for better sleep.
It's a conduit for better sleep.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You're kind of not healing anything. You're preventing your system from being overtaxed and not being used efficiently. Yeah.
And that's what sleep's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Restorative,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, so
Yeah.
It's just like every study they do on sleep, they find out more of how like absolutely vital, because it's like going to the bathroom. It's like getting rid of all your excess.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually interesting. So our last guest, Tina,
Oh, yeah.
she
Wow.
was talking about how there's a link to people who have like a, it's not direct, I don't know if it's the only correlation obviously, but it's there's a correlation of people who complete suicide
Mm.
and have like a lack of sleep, or like depression, I should say.
Oh, yeah.
Depression comes from a lot of like lack of sleep, or there's a connection to the two. Obviously that's not the only thing that causes depression
No,
and
yeah.
causes someone to take their own life, but it's
A high
it's a
correlation
huge
of
thing.
sleep disorders and suicide is what I thought she said, which I guess depression can go in between and then suicide.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, when they're trying to get information out of prisoners and break them down, that's what they do. They
Sleep
wake them up.
deprivation, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because they're just desperate for sleep.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
gosh. Our brains need to sleep. So do our
Yeah.
bodies.
I
They
do
sure
like
do.
sleep. Love sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about a vacation.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you have like a few little exercises?
Yeah, thank you. Speaking of breath,
If we're doing breathing exercises, don't expect much out of
no,
me
I
today.
don't. Yeah.
So Katie can do them.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so I'm just gonna put my feet on the floor and settle in, and yeah, this is just gonna be really relaxing. And Katie brought up the vagal nerve, the vagal nerve, and we talked about it a few minutes ago too, right? It's that it really runs your parasympathetic rest and digest part of your system, and it's like wrapped all over all your organs. Like vagus comes from vagrant in Latin, like it kind of like, if you ever heard of like heartbeat and breath entrainment, going at the same time, like it's really restorative to have your heartbeat and your breath at the same.
Interesting.
Yeah, your vagus nerve is doing all of that. And yeah, it's just anytime you're relaxed, I don't want to make it sound more complicated than it needs to be, because anytime you're relaxed, your vagus nerve is kicked in, and you cannot have that threat response going and the relaxation at the same time. And now we're not talking logically, like you can't, no, your body cannot do. It can only do one or the other. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're just gonna, if I hesitate to say close your eyes, because like people with trauma backgrounds, anybody with a trauma background, it can make them feel a little uncomfortable to close their eyes. And it's not, it's not necessary. If you could just sort of have soft eyes, like they say in yoga, just sort of chill.
Okay.
And I'm gonna bring up like breathing, like LSD, low, slow, and deep. So low, slow, and deep. And just noticing the rhythm of your breath. And whatever it is, that's exactly what it should be. Those inhales and exhales, and you might notice that when your breath comes in, it's a little cooler because it's coming in from the outside air. And then when it comes out, it's warmer. And I'm going to ask if the next time when you feel ready on your next exhale, that you make that exhale longer than the inhale was. Just drag it out a bit. And you might even want to imagine that you've got a straw, and you can only exhale through the straw. So that's kind of dragging it out. And just, and if your mind wanders, that's just what our minds do. That's absolutely fine. Just gently, kind of like you would a little kid that was wandering a little bit away from you. Just gently kind of bring yourself back when you're ready. And notice how deep those deep breaths can be. Maybe on the next one, think about, speaking of stale stuff, think about that maybe you're getting out stale air at the bottom of your lungs. So make that exhale even longer. Yeah. And now I'm going to ask if when you exhale this time and all that air is out, you kind of hold your breath for just a couple seconds. It'll be a little bit uncomfortable, but it shouldn't be a lot uncomfortable, just a little. And I'm going to ask you to do that. Just let a hold come at the end. Let's do that a couple more times. See if you can feel more comfortable with that little bit of hold at the end. A little bit of air hold. A pause. Okay, so whenever you're ready, let's kind of come back to the larger room and see what has come up, what comes up for you if you were to put it in words.
I feel like not heavier, but I don't know. Like it's like a blanket kind of where you sense more of like what's going on in your body and stuff. But it definitely helps with relaxation and kind of, if you can do it successfully, help clear your mind a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
focus not on what's going on in your life instead of just what's going on directly in your body.
Yeah. And when you're by yourself, it's even you're amazing with
What?
your cold,
Oh,
Mary, that you're able to.
I couldn't do most of it, but
Yeah.
you know what having a cold does though makes you realize how important breathing is.
Yes.
Because you're just so uncomfortable, like
Yeah.
you're just wanting a deep breath.
Yeah, you want to get deep breaths.
Yeah,
Yeah. You're right. Until you can't do it, like, of course, it's human nature. We don't realize what a big deal it is. Yeah.
But yeah, I did some of it, but then it's like, oh, there's that little cold again.
I feel like I fall to a lower shelf, like of a lower level, like I'm calm, and then it's like further down in calmness.
Like he just did.
Yeah.
He went, and then,
yeah. The breath holds are great when that little bit of extra really
like
pushes
after you exhale, you pause before you inhale, knowing confidently that there's going to be more air there.
Right.
Which that's what I struggled with because I was like,
yeah. Now in your case, I don't know if I would be confident. yeah. So good.
It's interesting that I have a hard time breathing on this episode.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
No, it's
I didn't mean to illustrate it on your at your expense.
It's actually perfect, though. It's perfect in correlation with how important breathing is, and even with just how important, listening to the signs from your body, which we talked about earlier. There are no coincidences with what your body's telling you.
Absolutely not.
Well, thank you for sharing all of your knowledge and stuff on this. It's been really, I think, a great conversation about pain in general, and something that people need to spend more time thinking about. Because if we don't personally have chronic pain, we probably know someone who does. And it's, I think, really enlightening to be able to understand maybe some ways to help them, or ourselves, you know.
Absolutely. And have it not be something that is like a fear
Yeah.
that makes your life smaller.
I
Yeah.
like that.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And I also like what you said, your issues are in your tissues.
Yeah, I didn't make
Yeah.
that up. Yeah.
Okay. And we'll link that pain trackers and your
Website.
website.
Yeah, please,
And
yeah.
maybe even that book there, if people like that book. And what did you call those breathing things again?
Oh, myotape.
Myotape.
MYO tape.
And you can get that on
On Amazon.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Or Walgreens,
Yeah,
probably,
definitely. Yeah. It's very
All right.
valuable. So thank
right,
you.
good.
This was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you so much, and we'll look forward to watching it and seeing how I snort and gurgle, and how you have this beautiful melodious voice.
You do have a very nice voice.
Very nice voice for in general, but also for therapy.
Yeah. Melodious. That's funny.
Melodious voice versus
The troll, the dungeon troll over here.
You guys are funny. You are really funny.
We have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We could be talking the most serious topic, and we end up laughing at the end. 'Cause
But that's so
you
good.
gotta laugh when
You
you're
do. You
Talking about the
do.
heavy stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if it's dark, like
You
you
still
gotta laugh. Yeah,
man. That's all there is. That's all we
Yeah.
got.
yeah.
Anyway, so we just sort of let it fade, and then she cuts it where she wants to, right?
Okay.
Thank you guys for watching.
Should
gotta
we do
say goodbye to
that?
the listeners and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, we gotta honor them. Okay, thank you.
Wow.
See you next time.